Hello, and welcome back to Happiness Across Borders, an investigation through podcasting. Last time, we caught up with Bahia to hear about her experience both inside and outside of the United States. This time, let's hear from Sophia and her experience deeply rooted in family and culture.
Hi,
What is your name, your age, and what grade are you in?
I'm Sophia Buckner. I'm a junior and I am 17 years old.
All right, perfect. So, what is your ethnicity and or your cultural background, and how would you define that for yourself and your identity?
I would define it as I'm American Jewish, and I think, very culturally Jewish and religiously as well, but I also kind of mix it in with, being American and growing up in America.
Mm-hmm. So how closely would you say then that you identify yourself with that background, and how has it impacted your day-to-day and how you think?
Growing up, I've always been taught like the values of being Jewish and what that means. So I think that's impacted who I am, how I act, and how I view the world. I think as well as growing up in America, you always kind of learn how to be American and what that means. So picking and choosing kind of how I present myself with a mix of both those beliefs.
And so when you say you pick and choose, how would you say they interact in the way of, how you define yourself and how you define how you go about the world, I guess?
I would say like I went to a Jewish summer camp during the summer since like I was very young. So I think kind of the life lessons they teach there, and like because it's a Jewish one, so we learned all like the Jewish values and how to see them in the real world. But I kind of like some of them are similar to what I think growing up in America has taught me, and so just kind of finding what I truly believe in and how to like make my way through life with those.
For sure, yeah. What would you say happiness is to you, and what makes you happy on a personal level or on an overall, and how important is that to you?
I would say my happiness is kind of defined by what I do. I think a lot of it's activity based. I enjoy doing soccer, hanging out with friends and family. And so I think being able to do those things is what truly brings me happiness, and I think that's a very important thing for me just because it helps make my life better.
For sure, yeah. So would you say on an overall level that activities are where you source your most happiness over connections with other people, or would you say that it comes from the people surrounding you within those activities?
I think it's like a mix of both. I think the activities themselves I enjoy doing, and I think it makes it even better having people I like being around and the people I love around me doing them with me.
For sure. So do you think there's a difference in what makes you happy and what should make you happy?
No, that's a tough one. I think it also might be a mix. Like things I think should make me happy do normally make me happy, but I think sometimes this happens especially with school, with like the expectations I have for myself. When you expect something a little too harsh of yourself, I think those things that should make you happy get washed away with your expectations.
For sure. So other things can get in the way of them.
Yeah.
And do you think that because most of your happiness is based on outside sources, that it's easier for you to get a little distracted from the joy in your life if it were in comparing to some people find their joy intrinsically more within themselves versus outside factors? Do you think it makes a difference in your day-to-day about how you think about happiness?
Yeah, I would think so. I think sometimes if I know I won't be able to do an activity I enjoy, or if like a day of just like doing nothing, it can be a little harder because like then I'll be able to force myself, or not force, but like have something to do because I want to go do an activity that will bring me joy, so it will give me something to do. But yeah, I guess so. Like if I'm not able to do something or hang out with people I enjoy doing things with, that it will be a little harder to find that joy.
Yeah, so finding a balance in between
Yeah.
is important too. All right, so kind of trying to combine the two topics a little bit. Do you think that there's a difference between your view of happiness versus your parents' or your relatives' views of happiness?
I would say maybe a little bit. I would say maybe I've learned what happiness is from my parents, so there might is probably some overlap, but I think I've also learned from my other friends and other people in my life what their happiness is, and I've kind of seen what I enjoy from those
Yeah.
and what does align with me. So I think there's a little bit of a difference, but I would say mostly probably the same.
So what would you say you've taken most influence from?
I know, especially like my dad and my parents, but probably specifically my dad, he loves, or my mom too, they love having experiences with people, and that's kind of what brings them most joy, is being able to hang out with each other and hang out with us. And so I think that is something that I've learned of, like the importance of an experience. Like that was really big in my family. For birthday gifts, instead of like a gift from our grandparents, we'll do an experience with them just to show the importance of being with family.
And would you say that connects to your Jewish culture more so than your American identity, or would you say that's a combination of the both as well?
I think it's a lot with Jewish, because I know for a lot of Jewish holidays, a big thing is family time. Being with family and relatives and loved ones is a big part of celebrating Jewish holidays. So I say that it comes from my Jewish identity of making sure you spend times with loved ones.
Sure, yeah. And then this is a little unconnected, at least to your response, but for a lot of people, they've mentioned, personal actions and personal successes being a big part of where they source, whereas I think you've explained a little bit that your own expectations for success can kind of take away from the joy that you base in other outside and extrinsic causes. But do you think that your happiness in terms of success comes from your own personal actions or the success of those around you more?
I would say I think a mix of both, because I do, like, if those expectations I set for myself are met, I do feel immense joy in being able to meet the high expectations I set for myself. But I also love being able to see my friends or teammates or family members succeed and having fun in their life, I think also makes me happy.
Yeah. And would you say there's a difference or disconnect between how you view what's most important in terms of that happiness and how your parents or your relatives view that?
I think it's pretty similar, just because I know all my relatives, like, we do find joy in seeing each other succeed, and but I do see, like, them also be happy when they personally succeed the goal they set.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for interviewing. I really appreciate it.